It just happened to you. Maybe a song came on, one you weren't expecting, one that hit something you can't quite name, and the hair on your arm stood up. Maybe you watched something that moved you. Maybe someone said exactly the right thing at exactly the right moment, and your skin responded before your mind caught up. Goosebumps. You know the feeling. That sudden wave that moves across your skin, the hair rising, the strange sensation of your own body reacting to something that had nothing to do with temperature. It was gone in seconds. And it left behind a feeling, something between recognition and emotion, that you probably couldn't explain if someone asked. Here's what's strange about that. Goosebumps serve no function in the human body. None. They don't keep you warm. They don't protect you. They don't help you see, or hear, or think, or move. They are a vestigial reflex, a remnant of a response that made sense in an ancestor who no longer exists, running in a body that has no use for it anymore. And yet they happen to every human on Earth, in the same situations. Across every culture in history, ancient Greeks wrote about them, medieval poets described them, people who have never heard of each other, living on opposite sides of the planet, get goosebumps from music, from stories, from moments of sudden beauty or sudden awe. Evolution does not keep useless things for hundreds of thousands of years. The cost of maintaining a biological system, even a reflex, is real. If it stayed, it's because it's doing something. So what is this actually for? What is Ron Newbury? Every hair on your body is attached to a tiny muscle called an erector pili. When this muscle contracts, the hair stands upright, and the skin around it puckers slightly, forming the raised bumps you can see. This is an involuntary response, controlled by the sympathetic nervous system, the same system that governs your fight-or-flight response. You cannot produce goosebumps on command. You cannot suppress them when they come. In other mammals, this reflex does something useful. A cat, threatened by a dog, raises its fur to appear larger. A frightened chimpanzee's hair stands on end, making it look bigger to whatever is frightening it. A cold animal fluffs its coat to trap warm air against its skin. The erector pili response, in animals with meaningful fur, is a genuine survival tool. It regulates temperature. It manages threat response. It changes how the animal appears to predators and rivals. Humans have almost no body hair. The reflex that raises it is still there, perfectly intact, running the same program it ran in our furrier ancestors, and producing a result that no longer means anything, except that goosebumps happen in humans in situations that have nothing to do with cold or threat. They happen in response to music, to art, to witnessing extraordinary human acts, to sudden insights, to stories that hit something true. This is not the erector pili reflex doing its original job. This is something else entirely. In 2016, a research team at the University of Southern California made a discovery that changed how scientists think about goosebumps. They were studying a phenomenon called Frisson, the specific experience of chills or goosebumps in response to music or emotional stimuli. It had been documented for decades, but nobody had examined what distinguished people who experienced it from people who didn't. The assumption had always been that it was subjective, a matter of taste or sensitivity or musical training. What they found was striking, and it had nothing to do with any of those things. Frisson, musical goosebumps, doesn't happen to everyone. Roughly 2/3 of people experience it regularly. The remaining third rarely or never do. And when the researchers looked for the difference between these groups, they found it not in personality, not in musical background, not in any psychological trait they could measure on a questionnaire. They found it in the brain. Participants who experienced Frisson had measurably more connections between the auditory cortex, the region that processes sound, and the regions of the brain responsible for emotional processing, social awareness, and empathy. Their brains were, quite literally, more wired for the intersection of sensation and feeling, more pathways, more integration, more crosstalk between the part of the brain that hears and the part that feels. In other words, goosebumps from music are not just an emotional response. They are a neurological signature, a measurable indicator of how deeply a brain connects the experience of sound to the experience of meaning. People who get goosebumps from music are not more sentimental. They are not more fragile. They are not more easily manipulated by art. They are differently wired. Their brains process sensory experience and emotional meaning through denser, more integrated pathways than people who don't. This is not a romantic notion. It has been replicated, measured, and confirmed. And it raises a question that the researchers themselves struggled to answer. Why would evolution build this? Here's the answer that nobody talks about. Goosebumps from emotional stimuli are not a malfunction of the threat response. They are a feature of the social brain. Your ancestors didn't just need to survive predators and find food. They needed to function in groups. And functioning in groups required something that is extraordinarily difficult to engineer biologically: the ability to be genuinely moved by what moves other people. Music, storytelling, witnessing acts of courage or sacrifice or love. These are not private experiences, they are shared ones. And the ability to respond to them viscerally, physically, involuntarily, to have your body react to meaning the way it reacts to temperature, is the ability to be part of something larger than yourself. When your hair rises at a piece of music, your brain is doing something that took hundreds of thousands of years to build. It is connecting auditory pattern to emotional resonance to social meaning in a single involuntary response that bypasses conscious thought entirely. You don't decide to get goosebumps. They arrive, and when they arrive, they are telling you something specific, not about the sound, but about you, about the depth of the connection your brain is making between what you're hearing and what it means to be human. Nona Blail. There is one more layer to this. The specific situations that trigger goosebumps in humans, across cultures, across centuries, form a pattern. Music at its most emotionally precise, acts of extraordinary courage, moments of unexpected beauty, stories that resolve in ways that feel both surprising and inevitable, witnessing someone become more than you expected them to be. These are all moments of transcendence, moments when the individual experience opens onto something larger, when you feel, for a second, less alone in the world than you did a moment before. This is what the social brain was built for, not just to understand other people, but to occasionally merge with them, to feel for a moment the boundary between self and other go thin. Goosebumps are what happens when that merger occurs faster than conscious thought can register it. They are your body's signal that something true just happened. Something that bypassed the analytical filters, skipped the evaluation, and landed directly in the part of your brain that knows, without being told, what matters. Wiggle, mead. So the next time your skin rises at a song, the next time a story hits something you can't name, the next time you're watching someone do something extraordinary and you feel that wave move across your arms, don't explain it away. Don't call it silly or sentimental. Don't try to figure out which part of the music triggered it. Just notice it. Because what just happened is one of the most sophisticated things the human brain does. You just processed a pattern, sound, or story, or witnessed courage, and your nervous system recognized it as meaningful before your mind had time to form a thought about it. 300,000 years of social evolution built that recognition, built the pathways that connect sound to meaning, meaning to emotion, emotion to the involuntary physical signal that your body has been sending since before language existed. The goosebumps aren't a glitch. They're not a leftover from a furrier ancestor who needed to look bigger to predators. They're a signal from the deepest part of your brain, bypassing everything learned and rational and conscious, arriving in your skin before you have time to overthink it. They're your nervous system telling you, this is real, this matters, pay attention. And the people who feel them most, whose brains are most densely wired for the intersection of sensation and meaning, are not more emotional, they are more connected, to music, to story, to other people, to the thing that makes being human more than just surviving. That's what this channel is. Every week, one thing about being human that seems small, or strange, or impossible to explain, revealed as exactly what evolution intended.